All right, everybody. Welcome to Suge Me the Mooney. Hanging out here, of course, with Suge
Yes,
and
sir.
Joel.
What's up, guys?
So basically, how you guys doing this week?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Staying healthy, staying away from people.
There you go. And basically, one of the big things that happened the last couple of days was MLB is back, and it's a little different, of course, but it's still like sports. You know, we got something to watch now, not just stare at Twitter all day. But of course, you can't help it. With sports, there's always people talking about, you know, more serious stuff. So, Suge, what'd you think about MLB coming back?
Yeah, man. I'm happy. We're shooting this on Friday, July 25th, and we're fresh off of the first Yankee win of the season. Rain short and one. Garrett Cole made his debut 10 years in the making. Got a complete game because the rain shortened the game, but it was an official game, so we won in 5 innings, 4-1. And right before the game, some news came out that supposedly the Yankees invited the president of the United States, currently Donald Trump, to throw out the first pitch on August 15th at Yankee Stadium. Of course, there will be no fans, and I was highly disturbed by it because, as Joel could tell you, and Mike, you know, throwing out the first pitch is like a ceremonious type of thing where you honor somebody by letting them throw out the first pitch. So teams will bring back old players, or they'll bring citizens that have done astounding things. But I looked it up, and it's very rare that a president outside of opening day throws out the first pitch. And for the Yankees to do something like this, what are you celebrating about Donald Trump? There's gonna be no fans in the stadium, and that's partially because of him, because his irresponsibility and his ignorance towards COVID-19 has cost over 130,000 American citizens lives. So why are we celebrating him? And if it were any other team, I would be shitting on them. So I have to hold my favorite team accountable. And I do believe that at some point between now and then, they will cancel him throwing the first pitch, and rescind that invitation, or probably come up with some kind of excuse like scheduling conflict or something like that. But they will see the response to it, because while I was on Twitter, it was a very uh amongst the Yankee fans that I also follow, and these are varying degrees of people, white, black, uh from different areas. So a lot of people and official Yankee blogs, Twitter accounts, had voiced their displeasure with this announcement. So I think Hal and the other people in charge of the team and the management will read the room and understand that it's a terrible idea. So Joel, you have any like quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you said, it's just a really bad idea, honestly. Especially in the climate we're in, they even have Trump doing anything for baseball, first pitch or whatever the case might be. Even watching the game at this point, because like you said, it's kind of his fault that there's no fans in the field and that everyone has to keep social distance. It's his fault. But hopefully, what is it, August 15th?
Yeah.
Hopefully by then, like I said, like hopefully, especially if social media actually, because I haven't seen much on social media about it, honestly. Like I didn't even know until you texted me about it.
Hmm.
And hopefully, the more social media blasts it, I'm pretty sure the Yankees organization is gonna try to find somebody else. Hopefully by August 15th. That's not too far away, but it is far enough that the Yankees, somebody in the organization can just call, even the players for that matter. The players could, post things on Twitter or Instagram in retaliation. They all kneeled. So actually they're showing that they care, that they're standing for something. So that's another reason why they should even cancel Trump throwing the first pitch. Because all the players, like, they kneeled in solidarity. So bringing Trump in now, you're just kind of like, why? Why kneel if you're going to bring Trump?
Yeah, or bring in somebody that's already voices opposition to kneeling. Mike?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually I'm thinking back to when we were younger, and I remember George W. Bush threw out the first pitch, and that was a hectic time in America. It was right after 9/11, but it was a way different vibe. I feel like 90% of the country they were like on the same page at that point. It was a different era. He came out there and it was like this big thing, and everyone was applauding. I remember that was like a big moment in 2001. Now with Trump, this isn't the first time he had some controversy throwing out the first pitch. So when he was elected and he took the oath in early 2017, he was supposed to throw out the first pitch at the National game, the opening day, which is a tradition in MLB with whatever team is in Washington, D.C. area. And yeah, the White House declined. And that would have been a full house. And he was kind of like a punk. He didn't want to be around these fans that he knew he was going to get booed by most of them, or a lot of them. And he kind of did like the punk move and he canceled it. And same thing he did with the initial State of the Union. Like he didn't want to do that. He was like breaking all these traditions, which is the epitome of like Trump, just like doing the opposite of what we were, known to traditions. That's it. I feel like he's only doing the Yankee Stadium thing because it's going to be empty,
Yeah.
and now he can do a big moment, a big photo op. He doesn't have to deal with his insecurity of getting booed, and because a lot of people probably boo him. It'll probably be 50-50 maybe. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, he was booed at the World Series too in Washington. He didn't even throw out the first pitch. They just showed him on the screen and he got booed. And I actually remember a customer of ours said that was disrespectful, irregardless of how you feel about him, because he's the president. But this is a different president. You brought up George Bush. Like, I'm not a Bush supporter or a fan of George Bush, but he was still presidential. He wasn't a polarizing person in the way that Trump is. But I wanted to start off on talking about that because the topic we had planned first is a little bit more lighthearted in relation to Trump, a little bit more comedic. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So we're gonna talk about fictional characters in shows like we watch that we think would be Trump supporters, because I was on Twitter and I saw a tweet. I want to attribute the actual person, the person I tweeted it. His name is at Niles100, and the question he posed was, "Who's a white character on a TV show that you love but know would be a Trump supporter in real life?" And his suggestion was Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. I'll open it up to my guys here. It don't have to be a white person. Shoot, it could be an alien. It could be Roger from American Dad, for all I care. It's just I thought it was an interesting topic to bring up, so we're gonna talk about that now.
That tweet was got me thinking, and I had a little fun with it. I was me and my brother would always joke around about like different sitcoms and what the characters would be doing today, and especially with 2020, man, like a lot of things are going on, and I was imagining what these characters would be doing. And Shogo, you had a little fun with this too. What characters were you thinking about?
Yeah, so when I saw that tweet, it took me a while to think, because you have to think about like everything you've watched, and but it's a lot more thought that goes into it, because it's more fun if it's people that aren't like as obvious. So my first thought was Blue Bloods, which is a show on CBS that comes on. I don't personally watch, but my parents love CBS and watch like all the shit on CBS. So I passively watch it, and it's a family about it's a show about a family of cops essentially. Like the grandfather, it's like four generations. So it's the grandfather. Uh, he was a cop, and he's like a senior citizen, like like in his 70s or 80s. Tom Selleck's character is the father or grandfather, his son, and he's the police commissioner, and then he has three kids. I think he had other kids, but one of them died. So the oldest is played by Donnie Wahlberg. He's a detective. This and then the second oldest, his daughter is played by Brigitte Moynihan. She's an ADA in the show, and the youngest son is his name is Jamie. He's like a patrol cop. Or I think he's a sergeant at this point in the show. The show's it's 10 seasons deep now, so there's a lot of change from the beginning to the end. So at first I wanted to say, and it also has their children in it, and one of the main sequences in each episode is them coming together to have like dinner, I think once a week, the whole family. So you get to see all four generations, the great grandfather, Tom Selleck, the grandfather, his kids, and then their kids. So I just chose our family because they're cops. And if you guys have seen any of the PBA and how the NYPD has been dealing with, the criticism being uh, posed to police officers today, you'd see why. But I wanted specifically, I don't think that the youngest one, Jamie, would be a Trump supporter because he's a little bit young and naive, and he'd probably be a little bit more open-minded than his older brother, his father, and his grandfather are. But the grandfather was a cop in the 50s and 60s. So he probably went upside some minorities' heads with his flashlight back in those days. No offense, Mike. He's it's an Irish family, so you know how if you've seen The Godfather, Irish policemen were on the racist side. So
No.
I'm sorry. I mean not to offend you, Michael. But and then the father's a police commissioner, so he probably brushes a lot of police brutality under the rug. And then Donnie Wahlberg, he's like in his 40s and he's a detective, so you know, I just I just have a feeling like if they were real people, they would be Trump supporters. And my second one is the surprise one that's probably a bit out there, and that's Tom Haverford from the show Parks and Recreation, who's played by Aziz Ansari. And what we've seen with a lot of Trump supporters who aren't white, they tend to be people that seek white acceptance. So Tom Haverford's like real name, he was a Indian. His parents immigrated from India. It's kind of biographical with Aziz Ansari because his family migrated from India to South Carolina, and Tom changed his name from a very Indian sounding name to Tom Haverford, which sounds white.
Yeah. Also, he was in real life. Aziz was like Muslim, so that's like a double whammy.
Yeah,
I believe.
Muslim or Hindu? I think he's Hindu.
Nah, I think he's on the. Well, I don't want to get into it, but I think he was on the border of India and Pakistan. I think I forgot. I saw his stand up, but it's been years. But yeah, but just of course, it's the South.
We'll look it up afterwards, just so we don't have him have that being wrong. Um, And then he always jumps on fads. And if you see a lot of the young kids on TikTok with these racist memes, like, they think it's trendy to be, a person like Trump. And he also seems like the type of guy that would admire somebody that has a golden toilet. And I think he would rationalize it because, one of his best friends on the show is Leslie Knope, whose running gag is that she has a crush on Vice President Biden, who's, the presumptive presidential nominee against Trump in this upcoming election. So I could see an episode where he's trying to explain himself and he says, come on, guys. He says all this bad stuff, but look, you get a free hat. So that's why I chose Tom. And then the last person I have is Alan from The Hangover, who is played by Zach Galifianakis. Those movies that went from great to good to terrible. Like I fell asleep in the third movie, and the third movie was more based around Alan, which is crazy because he's like the best character on it. But I don't have too many reasons for him. But if you've seen those movies, Alan is an idiot. And that's usually the requirement for Trump supporters, just to be dumb. So that's why I chose him.
My character, well, my first obvious character that I thought of was Archie Bunker from All in the Family. Like, if anyone, I don't know if you guys have seen All in the Family or clips or whatever.
Yeah.
But Archie Bunker was like, he is like Trump, like in live form. So if Trump was in, TV back in the days, it would be Archie Bunker for sure. Archie Bunker, he was racist, he was a homophobe, he was a bigot, anything Trump is pretty much. He would have been online, first in line to actually like vote for Trump. He'd probably go to the rallies, MAGA hat, the whole thing. He'll be a Trump, like pretty much a Trump clone. Second one, which is a little bit more funnier, Eric Cartman from South Park. He's another one that he's kind of like another one that's exactly like Trump in a way, but he's also his biggest problem. Not his biggest problem. He has a lot of problems, but he's extremely anti-Semitic, especially towards
Kyle,
I believe. Kyle,
Yeah,
there we go. Kyle. I was about to say Kenny, but Kyle. He's extremely anti-Semitic towards Kyle. He's also like one of those, like one of his favorite lines is, "Oh, I'm an authority. I'm authoritative." So he's always has like this, yeah. He always has this like, "Oh, I'm an authority figure," but in reality, it's like you're just as big as bigot as Trump is. And I had
Cartman actually was inspired by Archie Bunker. Trey Parker and Matt Stone did say that, so that's cool that you had both of those guys. Yeah,
both of them are literally like the same. It's only Eric Cartman's like cartoon form, animated form, and Archie Bunker obviously.
He's like an
Carol Connor, rest in peace to him.
He's an 8 or 9 year old Archie Bunker. That was the idea around Cartman.
But I have a third one, but it's actually I have like 4, but the third one, and I'm not really.
No, go ahead, man. Do as many as you want.
Cool. The third one is Red Foreman from that '70s show. Again, I'm kind of like I have an asterisk on him. The reason why I think he will vote for Trump is because he didn't even like his own son. Like he went in on his son. He didn't really like a lot of people other than Hyde. Honestly, like he felt a lot of the people in the show were stupid or dumbasses. He called his own son a dumbass almost every episode. So he's like, and that's how I feel like Trump is. He calls his sons like dumbasses. Just like Red Foreman does. And I had like the fourth one is really a whole family from Get Out. Last names, I forgot. Oh man, pardon me. But if y'all seen Get Out, Rose, she would definitely roll for Trump. Her father, that whole entire family, that they, wanted to take pretty much Black souls.
Yeah, because we saw it together. So the interesting thing that you bring up about that, because the father said he would have voted for Obama if he could get a third
A second term or something like that.
Yeah, so what that reminds me of, because I talk about how I went to college and I had a lot of people, and this was during Obama era, that like they would never bring up that they didn't like Obama. So you just assume that they would, and then years later they reveal themselves to be Trump supporters, and like I don't, fuck with them anymore. So that's an interesting and excellent choice for that the Get Out family. So
Because every time I just seen that movie, it's almost like wow, like people out here really think like that. Obviously, a movie you can't take souls, but it's done in a way now that it's like pretty much got we got to work for people in a way, and
yeah, we saw it together. I haven't seen it since, because it was like it was that like startling to watch. It's an excellent film. I don't understand how it didn't win best picture. I think me and Mike talked about that in a previous episode too. But
Hey,
Mike,
I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it yet. There was like a 2-year gap where I didn't see anything. So don't take, it's nothing. I want to see it. Maybe I'll watch it and we'll do like a watch along or something. Yeah, but again, like I was saying, me and my brother would just like BS about like where these characters are now. Because whenever I watch, like I've been streaming a lot of shows, and I know the last episode's coming up, and I'm like, damn. And then that moment where it goes back to episode 1, like season 1, I'm like, I want to see these characters. I want to see what they're doing now.
yeah,
But there might be a little there's a twist on it. All right, so I have 3 sitcoms. I'm just gonna give a synopsis for each episode. This one actually came up with me and Suge. I've been watching a lot of King of Queens, and right as soon as I said Doug Heffernan, Suge jumped on me like, no way. Like he said all these things about the character, and I was like, hey, well, hear me out. It's a 22-minute show. So I think it would start off something very, very minor. Let's say this is like May, and like he works at a UPS type thing, IPS, and like let's say every May they have like a softball game, and in Doug's world, he's like, they canceled the softball game. Like that's his biggest concern.
yeah,
And like his friend, his Deacon, let's say they still work together, it's just like 2020, and Deacon's like, it's just a game, man. And Doug's like, no, but I need to get the trophy. Like he's so concerned about this, like, just like very insignificant thing as a softball game. And Deacon like kind of like drops knowledge on him, and then they kind of have a riff. And then Doug comes home, and he's like, oh man, you're right. Like I gotta think of the big picture here. And then Cheryl goes, hey, well, maybe Carrie might be a little Trumpy. And then I was picturing Carrie. Carrie's a wife, and she kind of like was like a backing up the whole Trump thing. And we can dive into that if you want to. But also, let's say if Arthur's still alive. Let's just say Arthur is played by Jerry Stiller, of course. This is like a fantasy thing, but he lived in the basement, and he was always up to like wacky scenarios. He was kind of like a Kramer. So I thought that maybe in his basement, like he's going crazy because of lockdown.
yeah.
So basically, he spends his whole day in the basement on Facebook, and he becomes this crazy conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
And, like, he comes upstairs and he's like, Doug, and he just whatever.
Douglas.
So
You always call him
Douglas.
Douglas.
We gotta go to space or something like that. Yeah. But then 22 minutes, we wrap it up. That's King of Queens for me. You have any things, or should I jump to the next one and then we just do it at the end?
Oh no, because when you told me Doug, like I said, I was like, I couldn't see Doug doing that. It's just, but in the way I could see it, like I said, I was like, now Carrie on the other hand, she usually she wears the pants in that relationship and kind of like pushes him around. And I'm not saying like Carrie would be a Trump supporter, but I'm saying like if she were, like I could see her like pushing him into being a Trump supporter, and then him, or like in an episode where she has him wearing like MAGA stuff and putting a like Trump flag in front of the house, but he has to like explain to like his friends like Danny and Patton Oswalt's character and Deacon. Like he basically says like he's only like pretending to be one, just to like not make his wife mad. Like I could see an episode on that, like if they did King of Queens today.
Yeah, I can already think of silly jokes like I wear the pants in the family because hey, just because I wear shorts and because I wear shorts. If I did that joke, but yeah, and Spence and Danny are they probably have like their own small business that's going under. So maybe like, God damn it, like we need to open the economy or whatever. ABC stories, we got that covered. Next thing, maybe obvious. I don't want to be anti-Boston, but one of my favorite shows ever was Cheers. And I was just imagining, who knows if these characters are still rocking and rolling at this point, but with being at the bar all day. But I can picture, again, it's like kind of springtime or early summer, and they're all waiting outside to come in. They're like, God, come on, maybe wearing masks, maybe not, and they just want to get back into Cheers. And let's say Sam still owns it. It's like a big deal. He still owns it. So he opens the door. They come running in, and Sam is, in my mind, he is not a Trump guy. He's like, come on, guys, you got to wear the mask. I'm not going to serve you. And then like they flip out, and then they talk about like Boston, and I can just imagine these guys watching MLB and like about the kneeling, and they get a little drunk more and more, and then they just like go at it. Cheers, there's a bar, and crazy things happen. This is more obvious because in real life, this guy is super conservative, but even in the show, he's a little bit conservative. But Home Improvement with Tim Taylor, played by Tim Allen, and Tim Allen is very vocal. But I was just thinking about this, how what he would be doing now, and everything now is like podcasts and everything. And he had like a local show, and he had a local like home improvement show. It was Tool Time. I figure in 2020 he's doing it on a podcast, and of course now he can't have guests, so he has like a Zoom. And I had this. It's funny to me, but I could picture Al being like super liberal. And let's say a couple of years ago when Trump took over for Obama, they had a falling out. And I don't think so, Tim, and everything. So he has him on the show, like kind of like a good building. Hey, come on the show. We'll talk about whatever. And of course, like it always happens with like family reunions and everything where people are split politically, they get into it right away. And I can just imagine like the fights where like, and also with the lag in between the Zoom, like I like the whole thing. But Tim brings up Trump, and he's like, this is with Trump. We know. He's right. We gotta open up everything. And then like Al brings up, why are you so anti-Obama? He revitalized the auto industry because they're in Detroit. And then Tim's just like, and he just like curses them out. He doesn't talk to Wilson anymore. Like this awkward when they're in the backyard because Wilson was trying to like talk about history and like how he's on the wrong side of history, and just Tim is just like, I don't give a shit. And he's like, that just made me laugh in like a weird way.
Tim Allen, former drug dealer. Tim Allen.
Yeah. What? I found that out like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what?
So I was like, what?
I was him for Halloween one time. I had a fake mustache and I walked around with a
the numbers, the prisoner numbers.
And I put a little sugar in the fake mustache.
Yeah. Where was fellow conservative Tommy Lahren? With her thing, like how she did Beyonce. Your husband sold crack cocaine for 14 years. Like, Tim Allen, you sold crack cocaine for 14 years and you snitched on everybody and you dodged jail time. But yeah, I could see that.
And then like the podcast would open up with, of course, he's a Detroit guy, so it would be another vocal Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent with this. Ted Nugent is always on Instagram and like shooting off rifles and stuff, like NRA stuff. That's just a what was a 2020 twist, but I always think about like what do they be doing now. This came up not just a tweet, but a couple months ago. Sopranos, they have like a podcast now where Michael Imperioli and the guy who played Bobby, they watch every episode and they talk about it. And they had David Chase, the creator, on.
Fellow Knicks fan.
Yeah, so he, I don't know if he came up with it like that day or whatever, but he was thinking about 2022 with his characters. And this was like in May, I believe. So it was mostly about COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But he had like some funny, like he was talking about like Paulie Walnuts, like him, like Paulie Walnuts is kind of like the eccentric character in the show. And he'd be like, yeah, I told you I was a germaphobe. I was right the whole fucking time. Like, I've been lice all the time. And then Tony's like, being the sympathetic character, I think he's like, sports betting done, fucking gone with the wind. Like you picture that, and he's like, we're hurting now. There's no bookie, there's no money in this and stuff. It's just funny. I don't know. You know, just an idea like how these characters that we grew up on and like watch, like how they would deal with it. I don't know. That was a nice little thing to think about.
Okay. Anything else y'all want to say on it?
I'm wondering. I'm wondering
Oh.
when shows come back. When shows come back, how they're going to deal with it. You know, like everything has kind of changed with like social interaction. Like, how is this going to affect things? Unless maybe they're just going to ignore it, and then, you know, obviously, eventually people will have their like a vaccine or whatever. But
Yeah.
they talk about serious stuff in other sitcoms. Like if you watch like sitcoms from like 2002, they acknowledge. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, like Grey's Anatomy said they're gonna like address it, and you know, you guys know, but probably the people listening probably don't know. Like, you know, I'm an unabashed soap opera General Hospital fan, and I haven't had a new episode of General Hospital since May. So, you know, that's a daily show. So I want to see how they deal with like the time gap and how they'll, you know, address like, you know, COVID, because you can't ignore it. And also, like I said, the time gap, as in like, you know, the storylines they had in May, you know, whenever they start new episodes, it's gonna be like summer or fall, so you know there will be some time has passed. But you know, like this is a time for like creatives to really, you know, flex their muscle, because now you could really like do weird things with media now, and just pick up where things left off, or you know, because a lot of shows they always do like whenever they need like a boost in ratings, or they've reached like a creative impasse, like they usually do some kind of like time jump. So maybe like a lot of shows will do that. Like, all right, like all of this stuff happened in between like the last time this was on. So I'll be interesting.
Oh, they could do a digital episode where like they're zooming and then like who's that in the background? And it's like the lover, you know, like, but it's lagging though too, because the lag is bothering me. So I always gonna keep up the lag. So you see the guy kind of like walking by and he's like, who was that? That's the cliffhanger.